Hey everybody, Thrash Till Death here. I was going to be talking about the new Sylosis album, Edge of the Earth, this week, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find it in the shops near where I live, so I'm probably going to have to order that one online. However, instead I did end up picking up the new album by Serenity, Death and Legacy, just today. I only heard of Serenity for the first time yesterday. I actually only just saw them on the shop's shelves of HMV. And the first thing that actually caught my eye was the cover art of the new album, which is absolutely atrocious. It looks like the sort of thing you would associate with a sort of third-rate version of the sort of shitty bubblegum pseudo-gothic metal that's being peddled by bands like Within Temptation and Delane, Visions of Atlantis, that sort of thing. But ironically enough, there is actually a guest spot by the singer of Serenity on the third track of this album, the Chevalier, but that's actually not what Serenity are like at all. They are more in the sort of vein of highly theatrical, almost cinematically oriented symphonic power metal. The same sort of thing that's being done by Avantasia and Edenbridge. And this, I have to say, I have to confess a definite fondness for albums of this sort of ilk. This is Serenity's third album, and by far and away their most ambitious in terms of scale and scope. And I do have a sort of fondness for these sort of albums. Really long, just shy of 70 minutes this one. High production value, high concept, very well glossy production pieces. In this case, it's actually a concept album based on the lives of various European historical figures like Galileo, Christopher Columbus, Marco Polo, Hernan Cortez, others like that. But yeah, and basically this is an album with all the trimmings, massive symphonic backing, guest stars from other bands, interludes with sort of sounds of warfare and stuff going on in the background, dudes speaking Italian that I don't speak. Yeah, it's basically just has all the sort of appearances of this really theatrical, very self-consciously grandiose sort of production. And I can get into that, even if it's only for sort of a few spins. And Serenity do it really well. They manage to keep things sort of very glossy and have a very sort of high production value sheen on things without sort of letting it get carried away from them. For every sort of major bit of orchestral backing, there's another sort of good riff and good meaty sort of chorus hook. This is a band that haven't forgotten that they're power metal. Although I have to admit, a lot of the sort of tropes of symphonic metal that annoy me about this genre are present and accounted for. Basically, I think there are two sorts of albums. Albums which you can listen to again and again, and you can just sort of discover new details and nuances about them hidden with each repeated listen. And other albums which on repeated listens will just sort of reveal how essentially shallow they are and how little there is actually going on to sort of inspire the higher brain functions in spite of however much superficial exhilaration might be going on in the foreground. And I think Serenity's Death and Legacy does fall into that sort of latter category. But with that said, they do manage themselves very well. They do it without being tacky. There's some great riff work on here, some great solos, some very really rousing sort of symphonic backing going on. And even if it is essentially superficial and just sort of chintzy, you're almost too exhilarated just in the moment, just sort of cresting the wave of how epic and big everything sounds, to really feel annoyed about that. So I guess if you can get into bands like Nightwish or Dimmu Borgir's more symphonic stuff, then you should be able to get into Serenity, no problem. Some people that bothers them. Me, no, I can definitely sort of appreciate it for what it is. Sort of the only real thing that's bothered me throughout the album, even when I was enjoying myself, was the vocals, to be perfectly honest. The main vocalist, Georg Neuhauser, I hope that's how you pronounce his name. He he sounds like an Austrian version of Ray Alder from Fate's Warning and Redemption, except not nearly as good. He just has this sort of slightly stilted wooden delivery, and it's just, the timbre of his voice just sounds a bit sort of wooden. I don't know how to describe it exactly, it's just he doesn't sound completely authentic. And just while I'm on the subject, the actual guest appearance from Serenity singer in the third track, the Chevalier, as unbelievably attractive as this woman is, as you can probably see in the video for the song, I'm really not a fan of her voice. She just doesn't have that sort of authenticity that you want from like a supposedly operatic band. She just feels like the sort of squeaky bubblegum teen pop idol sort of female vocals, and it just doesn't really do much for me. It just seems a bit too light and just not really metal at all. But with that said, pretty much everything else in this album really falls into place and just really works as a unit, and it just feels really tight, really composed, and you just get into it in the moment, even if there isn't really anything to take away from it at the other end. And of course, you're getting plenty of value for your money. 67 minutes I think it is, which I got for about 10 quid. So yeah, definitely you can't really do much worse than that. So if you're a fan of bands like Avantasia, Eden Bridge, that sort of general style of power metal, you can't really do much worse than this. And if you like concept albums better still, you're in good hands with Death and Legacy. So yeah, definitely probably one of the nicer surprises I've had so far this year in terms of music. Anyway, hopefully I'll be discussing Sylosis' album next week. If not, the next review I'll probably be doing will be of Amon Amarth's Surtur Rising when that comes out in a little under 2 weeks' time. So until then, I'm Thrasher, and I will see you next time. Later.